My hair's doing a lot today, but I like it. I look a vampire. Cute, Lost Boys. Hey y'all, it's Bear, and today I'm here to do the horror booktube tag created by the Bookubus. Because I'm kind of trying to still find my niche in booktube, I thought that this would be a fun way to do it. I love horror. I've talked about horror on my channel for a while, but I kind of want to hone more specifically into horror, especially this month. I don't know if I would consider myself a horror booktuber per se, but I do talk a lot about the genre and recommend a lot of things within the genre. The first question, how and when did you get into horror? And I would say it definitely started with film. I saw the film Jaws whenever I was 4, maybe? I saw Jaws when I was like 4 or 5. And not only did it jumpstart my love of sharks and marine biology, it also jumpstarted my love of horror. It terrified me. I had never seen anything like it. So I watched it, I was fucking terrified. I cried every time I had to get a bath, and it made me the person I am today. What was the first horror book you read? The first one I remember reading is, like most people, probably Goosebumps, but specifically The Phantom of the Auditorium. They were the first books that I really remember like devouring as a kid, because these were 3rd grade reading level, right? You could not read a Goosebumps book until you were in 3rd grade at my elementary school. We would walk past these books with these creepy covers, and we would like pull them out and look at them, and the librarian would just kind of be standing there like, okay, go move on to something else. You can't read those, they're too above your reading level. Library days in 3rd grade were Wednesdays, I think. So the first Wednesday of 3rd grade, my class of like 20 kids ran to the library and we all checked out a Goosebumps book. And this was the one that I checked out. It's the first one I ever read. What horror-related goodness can we expect from your channel? Other than the 31 days of content that I plan on putting out, I have done quite a few like spooky book recommendation videos. I've done some standalone reviews for some horror, thriller, mystery novels. I have discussed Stephen Graham Jones a lot on my channel, and like native horror in particular, because as an Indigenous person, it's very important to me that I highlight Indigenous works. I've also done some fun videos that are like my book versus movie series, where I talk about films and their book origins and how the adaptation holds up to the content of the book and which one I think is better. So like there's some things sprinkled throughout my other content that you can get a taste of if you want to go back and watch some of that. I have a playlist that I'll link down below that's all of my horror related videos. Do you have a favorite subgenre or themes in horror? Like I said, I love sharks and maritime ocean horror. I really like slashers. I love slashers. Themes of family trauma and like intergenerational trauma having to do with the horror. Mongrels by Stephen Graham Jones is a good example of this, how the werewolf curse, like the lycanthropy curse, is passed down from generation to generation, and it's like knowing that you are going to have to suffer repercussions for things that your family has done in your past. That's a very niche theme that it just like hits a good spot in me. And short story collections that somehow tie together. Examples of this being Lovecraft Country, Secret of Ventriloquism, and Anoka. Name an underrated horror novel or author. For that, I'm going to recommend Crota, or just Owl Going Back's work in general. Owl Going Back is a very prolific writer in the native horror world. He is Choctaw and Cherokee, and I loved this book, and not enough people talk about it, at least not that I've seen, because keep in mind, I have come from kind of like the YA side of BookTube. I still have not seen anyone talk about this, other than like passively mentioning it in like a haul or a wrap up. Name an overrated horror novel or author. I'm gonna say it, Stephen King. I have read a few of King's works that I really did enjoy. I liked Carrie. I thought Misery was pretty good. I cried at Pet Sematary and a McDonald's bathroom. However, he's not a writer whose style I enjoy. I don't like the repetitive nature of his books. I think that it's a lot of building and building and building, and the tension is not really there, and nothing really happens until like the last 50 to 100 pages, and for me, reading books that thick, there's not enough payoff for that. So I don't know, I don't understand the love for King. I understand nostalgia for King, but I don't understand how everyone just is on the King train all the time. I don't get it, and I've never really understood it. The first King that I ever read was The Girl Who Loved Tom Gordon, and I thought that was very good. And I never really jumped back on the King train. And that's not to say that he's like a bad writer. I just think that his concepts are a lot better than his execution. And I don't know that I've read enough of his works that would prove otherwise. Next, recommend 3 of your favorite horror novels. Funny you should ask. It's not like I have them conveniently placed beside me for this. So I have The Only Good Indians by Stephen Graham Jones, which I've talked about quite a bit on my channel. You probably have heard me talk about it or seen me talk about it on the internet. This is a paranormal slasher about 4 Native American men who are being hunted by an entity from their past, and I'm just gonna leave it at that because I think it's best if you go into this book kind of blind as to what the plot is and just kind of let it unravel naturally. Then we have My Sister the Serial Killer by Oyenkon Braithwaite. I found this book very scary. I found this book very well written. It's about a woman named Korede who is a nurse whose sister Ayula keeps murdering her boyfriends and calling Korede to help clean up the mess. I thought this was phenomenal. The writing style was phenomenal. This book was like a peak for me. I have The Sacrifice Box by Martin Stewart, which is another one that I could have said for underrated. This is a YA paranormal novel about a group of friends who make a deal that they're going to be like buddies forever, and they have to offer a sacrifice to this creepy ass box in the woods, and then in their teen years they stop being friends, so the things that they have sacrificed to the box are coming back to haunt them. Next, recommend a book to someone who is new to the horror genre. It's very hard for me to do this because I feel like horror has so many subgenres, and it's like, just take what you already read and add horror to it. If you are a romance reader who wants to get more into horror, read a horror romance. If you read middle grade, there's so many horror middle grades out there. I know it's not a specific recommendation and it may feel as kind of a cop-out, but like, just take what you read and then read the horror version of it. Are there any book to film adaptations that you either really loved or hated? I'm going to mention one for each. I hated the film adaptation for Bird Box. I thought it was terrible. And I love the film adaptation for Jaws. I think it was better than the book. Next, how do you discover new horror books or new to you horror books? Bloggers. I tend to read a lot of backlist books. Like, that's where I've been going lately. And honestly, we don't appreciate bloggers enough in this community, because if I want to read a horror novel about ballerinas, I can Google ballerina horror novel, and there is some poor blogger who has put in so much time and effort to compile a list of like 7 horror novels about ballerinas. If I want to read a book about mirrors, I've done this, I will talk about it in just a second. If I want to read a horror novel about mirrors, I can Google horror novel about mirrors, and some blogger has done a review or like a whole list or something about horror novels about mirrors. Bloggers are like the backbone of this community, and we do not appreciate them enough. What was the last horror book that you bought? As I said, mirrors. This is a Mirror Mirror by D.E. Afkins. I am going to be talking about this in an upcoming vlog I am very excited about. That will come hopefully sometime in October. This is from the Point Horror series. I want to collect all of the Point Horror books. I'm working on a Fear Street collection as well. I was like, A, I need it for a video. B, I want to read it anyway. C, I want to collect it. And I believe this is also kind of a Dorian Gray retelling, so I'm pretty excited about that. I really liked Dorian Gray when I read it last year. Question number 12, which horror book is the top of your wish list? As always, I am trying to build up my Stephen Graham Jones collection. Stephen Graham Jones is my favorite author of all time. I've already shown you 2 of his books in this video. And the one I want to read the most, it's not the rarest one, it's not the most expensive one, is Demon Theory. I have seen it online for like $200, and I don't care how much I need to collect something. I can't justify spending $200 on any book. And then like Nolan Ducati goes for like $900. So any Stephen Graham Jones that is not like easily accessible to me is at the top of my wish list, because I want to collect Stephen Graham Jones's entire backlist, and so many of them are out of print. If you're trying to get rid of a Stephen Graham Jones book, then DM me on Twitter and we can see if we can work something out. Finally, tag some people. If you're watching this on October 1st and you're just feeling the hankering to like do some horror related content, consider yourself tagged. That's all I have for you today. If you enjoyed this video, then let me know by leaving a thumbs up and subscribing and hitting the bell and all that good shit downstairs, as well as answering the comment question of the day. Comment question of the day, I want you to let me know what horror novel is at the top of your wish list. And if you don't have time, you don't have the spoons, you don't have an answer, or you just don't want to answer, leave me an emoji, preferably a yellow heart, so I know you made it all the way until the end of the video. And if you don't have access to emojis on your keyboard, then leave me a smiley face. All of my social media links will be downstairs, as well as links to everything I've mentioned, so make make sure you go check those out, as well as the link tree at the top of my description, where you can follow me around the internet, so my Instagram, my Twitter, and my Goodreads, as well as places to support me further if you so choose outside of Booktube, like my PayPal, my Coffee, or my Amazon wishlist, if you want to help me build that Stephen Graham Jones collection. Alright, I hope you have a wonderful, whatever it is, wherever you are. I will see you next time with another video. Thank you for watching. Okay, cool. Bye. I'll see you tomorrow with another video. I shouldn't have filmed this at like 1 a.m. I'm gonna be so low energy. It's like, come on, give us nothing.